Hello, Bobcat fans, and welcome to our final week of our fall edition of Behind the Paw. This week, finally focusing on cross country, and today we have, from the men's cross country team, senior Braxton Clark. Braxton, how are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty well. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing quite well, thank you for asking. So, Braxton, I want to get into your start in cross country, and we had a little email exchange before this when we were exchanging questions. So you played a little bit of soccer, a little bit of lacrosse, and you did marching band all your 4 years in high school. But when was it that you realized cross country, track and field was going to be your sport that you were going to get into?
It was pretty much during the summer before my sophomore year. I had went on a run with one of my marching bandmates, and he was like, "You definitely should try out for cross country." And we went on a little jog, and I felt like I was really belong with cross country because we did 3 miles, and I wasn't even tired. So I pretty much think that that's where I felt like I could become a runner.
Do you think that your experience in those other sports helped your endurance into cross country? You just naturally had the endurance to get through it and be a good runner?
I could say soccer played a good role because I was a midfield, and I pretty much played most of the game, pretty much all season that year. So yeah, I feel like soccer played a huge role.
And so after high school, coming into Frostburg, what was your decision to come into Frostburg, and what made you decide that you wanted to be here?
Well, since I'm from Salisbury, Maryland, it's pretty much the other side of Maryland. I want to be as far as Salisbury as I could, but with in-state tuition. So pretty much Frostburg is the last edge of Maryland before you get into any other state, and it was a good price and everything. So that pretty much convinced me that I should go to Frostburg.
And so during your time here as a freshman, you came in and you actually did pretty well starting out. So what coming in, did you prepare yourself for anything to come and run in college, better or the same as you did in high school, or what was your preparation as you came in?
I did a little bit of running during the summer, but I didn't do as much because I worked a lot during that summer. So I pretty much just came in with the returners. First couple of days I ran with Jake Ricketts and Robbie Romano and all of them to get a little intro around the area, and then they pretty much convinced me that I could make an impact on the team. And then pretty much I really didn't get motivated to actually work until probably the Shippensburg meet where I got top 7 at a college meet. That was pretty huge for me. So I pretty much knew I was going to play an important role for these next 3 or 4 years.
And so talk about being an important role, as Robbie Romano was the top runner for much of your career here, and last year it was you that kind of took over the reins as the top runner here. So what was it like did you learn anything from Robbie as he left and pass on to you of taking on a leadership role?
Yeah, I pretty much had to step up, had to put in more work than usual. That's pretty much all I had to do. That's the last piece that I really needed, just to put in more mileage, because my body loves mileage. So I just put in more work and listened to my coaches, and pretty much had some help from a couple of my teammates to stay motivated, stay on track. And yeah, that pretty much came clutch, because I haven't been a leader since high school, so I took a couple of years off and then it's different being a leader at a college level. So you learn a lot. You really learn so much more when you're in that particular position to step up and do what you gotta do to lead your team to success.
And as you lead your team, you also led yourself to an all-MEC selection, the first Frostburg State runner to get an all-conference selection as in the new Division II level. So what was that moment like as you're crossing the finish line and you realize you're an all-MEC runner in your junior season?
It was pretty humbling. I paid attention to where I was throughout the race, and then I pretty much had to pick a couple people off towards that clutch mile, that last stretch, and pretty much locked in for that last moment. Then I kind of realized it once I crossed the line. I was I just did something that's never been done. I was it's kind of in that moment where you just pretty much wondering what position your team are in, what placing we're going to win, because we still have people crossing. So I'm just at that point, I'm thinking all right, where are we going to place in this conference this year? Because we were pretty much set to be pretty low in the conference rankings preseason, because they didn't really know us. So it was pretty impressive, getting 5th overall, just to make a huge mark our first year in MEC.
And so throughout your career, you've done indoor and outdoor track as well as cross country. So what are the differences that you've seen between just doing cross country where you're running for just miles at a time, as opposed to indoor-outdoor track where you're running that set distance around the track and just, kind of on your lonesome?
Come indoor I run the 3K and 5K in particular the most. So I pretty much like knock down a couple miles. But then come outdoor, I'm going up to a 10K. So I pretty much like range and mileage like all year round. So it doesn't change as much, but it changed a little bit. Like we get into more speed come track, and then more cross country, we don't like fartlicks and tempos. And then come outdoor, I get back into like a mix of speed and fartlick and tempos. So pretty much outdoor becomes like a both a cross country and track. And then pretty much the season layers off each other. So during the summer when I train, I'm getting ready for cross country, and then cross country essentially get me ready for indoor, and then indoor essentially gets me ready for outdoor.
So earlier you talked a little bit about your teammates kind of helping to motivate you. So, running is just an individual sport in terms of you're running on your own for yourself, also for the team, but how do you stay motivated to just run on your own, in your own head when your teammates aren't necessarily right behind you or right next to you like in soccer, lacrosse, where they can help you and motivate you along the way?
It really comes down. I really think my summer training played a huge role. So I like to really thank my family because back home, especially during this year, especially when we went home in like March, I was like running every day from March till August. So pretty much like running out of my grandma's and my mom's house every day. Got my little brother and my little sister like keeping me motivated, leaving waters out in the yard. That pretty much helped me because they support me. So I pretty much rely on support as motivation in a way. And then like some of my teammates like Jake Rickers and Devin Horseman guys, we like text each other, looking at each other's Strava pages and all that, making sure we like staying up in our training plan.
So coming in, you're into the program, and then halfway through your tenure here, you have a new head coach in Shane Brookshire. What has Coach Brookshire brought to the program that maybe previously wasn't here, or for you specifically, what he's brought to motivate you?
For me personally, he pretty much brought motivation to me to like put in the work because I put in work while I really had Dale Louis, but I didn't put as much work in as I do now. And pretty much like getting outside in every single weather element and just get the job done. Pretty much telling us to trust the process every day, that things will eventually be in our hands. And especially this year with the pieces we got to push towards a outdoor conference championship, I pretty much think that's really what's keeping us going at this point, that we know we got what it takes to bring home a trophy for Frostburg.
And so as we kind of wrap here, for you personally, what are your plans for after Frostburg in terms of where you want to be and you for a career?
Well, at first I wanted to be an English teacher, but that ultimately changed. So now I want to become a cross-country track and field coach at anywhere that puts me at first. I would love to be like on the college level eventually, and then eventually one day become like an athletic director.
Sounds like a great plan, and we wish you the best of luck in your future. All right, well, Braxton, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us when we don't have a ton for us to do, and it helps us a lot here in the office. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Join us on Friday when we return to cross country to talk to head coach Shane Brookshire. Thank you, and go Bobcats.